old mill. Just got my coffee, ready to go on a prayer walk, and I want to talk to you guys about developing a habit of prayer today. So let's do it. Well, in Matthew 26, Jesus is praying in the garden with the disciples. He says, "Couldn't you keep watch and pray with me for 1 hour?" And he accounts for their time. And in Mark 1:35, Jesus escapes to a solitary place, a specific time and place where he could get away and recharge. He had a routine, a way of life, and we want to imitate Jesus, the Master, our example in our prayer life. But if you don't have a prayer life where you're praying for 5 or 10 minutes a day, then I would take a hard look to see if you're in a walking with Jesus system, if you're really apprenticing him and just following him in discipleship, because Jesus had a routine, a rhythm of prayer. He set up a specific time and place, a routine. Sometimes people say, well, I pray all of the time, or just I get a minute here, a minute there sporadically, or I'm in constant union and communion with God, praying without ceasing. And those people are more mature than me. I know that I easily get distracted. I need the specific time and place, just like Jesus. And I often find people who say, well, I pray all of the time, actually pray none of the time. When we look through the Gospels, we see Jesus talk about a way of life and a rhythm. Modern day, we would call that a habit. You know, I find that when you have a habit and rhythm of prayer, the current starts moving in your direction. You start moving with God rather than against him, and you get in sync with him. And the great thing about developing this in your own life is that when prayer becomes your lifestyle, it can influence the culture around you. If you're trying to mobilize or deploy other people to pray, they may not be as inspired if you don't have the lifestyle and example yourself. Jesus led by lifestyle and relationships. So if you have a lifestyle of prayer and the social capital, then you have the authenticity and the authority to help others with their prayer life as well and to change your culture. So let's rewind, because it all starts with a discipline of prayer. And I'm going to give you 3 quick definitions. First, discipline. This is intentionally doing the thing that you may not want to do. It's denying yourself, taking up your cross. And when you first take up something new and you begin to be intentional, it can feel heavy and formulaic and forced and unnatural. It's like the first time wearing a new pair of shoes or learning to drive. When I tried to learn stick from my wife, I was bunny hopping everywhere and stalling out. But she could do it automatically. She had moved beyond the discipline. She could drive from one end of town to the other and go, how did I get here? That moves us into habit. For that thing that you now want to do, it's a repeated behavior. And slowly it becomes a default pattern that you can bounce back to. Even if you have a bad day or a couple bad days or a crisis, you can return to it because it begins to feel natural. It becomes your new normal, like breaking in that new pair of shoes. Lastly, there's lifestyle. When this just becomes your unconscious reality, it's your identity, your repeated state of doing this, that you are a person of prayer. And every time you pray, it's another vote towards your identity that you pray. You become unconsciously competent. You could go into prayer and feel like you're on autopilot at times. You don't have to have a lot of intentionality or think about it very hard, because it's become your way of life and your rhythm. So again, beginning that habit, we love for things to happen naturally and organically, but often they don't. Paul tells us in 1 Corinthians 9 to have a discipline, to discipline your body. So I want to encourage you, if you're starting out a habit, it may feel like a checklist at first, and that doesn't feel very great. It doesn't feel natural or organic, but that feeling will go away. If you're just having conversational prayer with God, soon it won't feel like a checklist. It'll be a relationship. You won't have times with God, you'll just have a relationship with him. Your habit can become a ritual if it remains a formula and never develops into a relationship.
It's harder to pray inconsistently than consistently. Prayer becomes an easy thing and a natural thing, and the hard thing would be to refrain from prayer. As you develop intimacy by regular association, you develop ease through fixed habits of righteousness. Think of Paul's prayer lifestyle, discipling others' hearts through prayer from a jail cell. 1 Thessalonians 5:17, he has unceasing prayer and prays without ceasing. He prays steadfastly in Romans 12:12, Ephesians 6:18, Colossians 4:2, Philippians 4:6, Hebrews 13:15, Luke 18:1. It's this consuming passion for him. And for you, if you don't have that yet, God is gracious. You will fail. Sometimes we drop the ball on prayer, but the question is if you'll develop a practice habit of fellowship with Him in the inner depths of your soul, where you'll one day stop having times of prayer and have a relationship of prayer.
Again, I want to encourage you that when you authentically have this lifestyle, it can influence the culture around you. When it becomes your habit and your character, you can help others in their prayer life through relationship, through meeting their needs and having genuine concern for them. You're probably not going to influence your friends and family by sending out a prayer email or prayer reminders, but by genuinely asking them to pray and they know that you are a person of prayer, that can have a tremendous influence and impact for God's kingdom. Essentially, prayer habits and a prayer lifestyle eats prayer events or prayer emails for breakfast. It's got to become your authentic way of life in order to become the culture around you. I encourage you to stack your habits. If you're already keeping a journal or calendar in the morning, maybe add in a prayer journal onto that. Maybe pray for just 5 minutes. Start out with a baby step. Do what you can. Go in the strength you have and reward yourself at the end of that habit loop. Give yourself a cup of coffee, a reward. You know, I started developing a prayer habit in the evenings. I would walk for 30 minutes through my neighborhood to the grocery store and get myself a soda. And so I had a cue, a routine, and a reward. And that habit ended up rewarding me with a daily lifestyle of evening prayer. Thank you for watching this video on developing a habit for prayer. I hope that it helped you and blessed you. Let me know in the comments. And if it did bless you, share it with your friends. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.